بسم الله والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله رب يسر ولا تعسر. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آله وصحبه والتابعين وارحم يا رب النحاة والصرفيين وبعد. Welcome to lesson 4. So as we previously learned, the way to say he studied in the masculine past tense in the third person is darasa. Darasa. He studied. But now if you come to first person, if you come to first person in the singular, يعني I went. How do we say I went? Now, the word for I is, of course, ana, the pronoun. As we mentioned before, the alif of ana, the third letter, is actually a silent letter. It's actually not pronounced. We don't say ana, we just say ana. Now, the Arabs don't like to use lots of words if they can use one word or a short form of a word. This is something you'll find a lot in Arabic language. So, instead of using the full pronoun ana, what the Arabs do is they change it to a new form of the pronoun, which is tu, tu, tu. And they stick this to the end of the past tense verb. So darasa becomes darastu, darastu on the pattern of fa'altu, fa'altu. I studied. And this is the same for males and females. If a male would say, darastu, I studied. And a female would say, darastu, I studied. In the same way. Now you can say ana darastu if you would like to emphasize it, but there is no need because the tu is giving the meaning of ana. Now, here are some verbs we have already seen. Darasa, he studied. Darasat, she studied. And darastu, I studied. What do you notice about these verbs? We have darasa and darasat on the right side, on one side. We have darastu on the left side. Perhaps you will notice that the third root letter, the sin, okay, in darasa, darasat, has retained its fatha, has a haraka. Whereas in darastu, the sin now has a sukun, an absence of a vowel. So the rule in Arabic is that if you put a pronoun at the end of a verb that signifies the doer, a doer pronoun, not any pronoun, but specifically the pronoun that tells us who is doing the verb, like tu, meaning I. I did the verb, darastu, I studied. If you place such a pronoun at the end of a verb, and that pronoun has a haraka, like tu, it has a dhamma, it has a haraka, then the letter before that pronoun must take a sukun. The letter before that pronoun must take a sukun. And therefore, the sin takes a sukun, and we say darastu. Darastu. Okay? In the case of daras and darasat, we didn't add anything that had haraka. Okay? Now, for those of you who've studied Arabic grammar before, you'll notice that the ta, you will have studied that the ta with a sukun on it is not actually a pronoun in Arabic grammar. It's actually just a sign of being feminine. It's not officially considered a pronoun. The ta is actually the sign of a feminine doer. Feminine. Okay. It's a sign of a feminine doer. It's not actually a pronoun. If you have not studied that before, there's no worries. It doesn't really affect our study of Arabic morphology. Now, some exercises then. So if we establish that I in the past is on the pattern of fa'altu, then we can plug in the root letters and we can answer these questions. So how do we say I ate? You would say akaltu, making sure to give the last root letter a sukoon because the pronoun we are adding has a haraka. I went, dhahabtu. I hit, darabtu. So we've spoken about the third person, darasa, he studied, darasat, she studied, ana darastu, I studied, both the same for male and female. Now let's go on to the second person. Now, as we've studied pronouns already, we know that anta is you for a man, for a masculine, and anti is you for a female, a single female. Now, how do we say you did this thing in the past then? So just like the Arabs converted ana to tu, they converted anta to ta. Okay, both of them end with a ta, with a fatha, ta. And they stuck it to the end of the verb. So they made the pattern fa'alta. Again, the sukoon is coming on the lam. Why? Because the ta that we have added, the dua, the pronoun that is the dua, has a haraka, has a fatha. Therefore, it must be preceded by sukoon. So the pattern for you, man did in the past, the single man did in the past, is fa'alta. So we can say darasta, you, male, studied. And likewise for the feminine, the Arabs shortened anti to ti, and then they added it to the end of the verb, and they made fa'alti. Again, the lam is taking a sukoon because the ta has a haraka, has a kasra. Fa'alti. So you can say darasti, you, female, studied in the past. One female. And we will conclude with some exercises. So how would we say I went? We would say ذهبت. How would we say she sat? The root letters being jeen, jim, lam, and sin from julus. Okay. We would put it on the pattern of fa'alat. So we would say jalasat. Jalasat. She sat. How would we say you masculine went, you male went? We would say put on the pattern of fa'alta. So we'd say dhahabta. And lastly, how do you say you female ate? The female, obviously, the letters are the root letters for eating being akala, or alif, hamza, kaf, and lam. We would say akalti, anti akalti, akalti. You ate, you female ate when you're talking to a female. That's the end of the lesson. جزاكم الله خيرا لحسن استماعكم والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.